Hello, resilience champions. Welcome to today's live stream where we are talking communication. Yes, communication that is the life wire for every successful relationship, business, or transaction. Communication greatly contributes to personal and professional success. And today we are going to do a part one because communication is such an important life skill. We are going to do it in two parts. I would really like to consecrate one of the live streams just to talk about communication in relationships because that is a really challenging. And in this channel, we are building ourselves, we are resetting our lives, our relationships, our finances. We are resetting everything that needs to a reboot in our lives so that life should be more livable for us, and so we become more successful. More successful for me is being better than you were every new day. You are better than you were the previous day. And so today we are going to start this part one of how to improve your communication skills. And today I would like to talk about a few really important skills that you can build and use it when communicating so that you can communicate effectively and so that people can really listen to you without really feeling that they are just a passive participant, and also so that people should know that they are actively involved in the things that you're doing. Hey, hey, Peter, you're welcome. Thank you very much. I hope you had a beautiful weekend. Yeah, thank you. Relax and enjoy by Vanessa. Vanessa, you are so welcome. Thank you for the thumbs up. Thank you for coming. I am happy to have you with in this live show today. I hope that you had a very, very enjoyable weekend and that you are ready for a very productive week. And so I'm really happy that you are here. And today we are going to talk about a first part of a series in communication because communication is such a big, big issue. Hi, Sister Winnie, you are welcome. Communication is central to everything that we do. And so I would like to do a two-part series on communication. We can't talk about communication just in two live streams, but I would really like to start the conversation about communication today. Goodness Diary, you are so welcome. I hope you had a very, very blessed weekend, and then I'm wishing you a very, very productive week. And so today, I would really like for us to talk about the importance of effective communication. And we will discuss a few tools that you can learn to be able to communicate effectively. And most especially, we are emphasizing on the importance of effective communication because sometimes even just the tone that we use, or the not only the tone but the words that we use, give different meanings to what we want to communicate. And so that is why they say communication is the most important life skill. Thank you for the share, Goodness Diary. I greatly appreciate your support and encouragement. So we are saying that communication is considered a very empowering life skill because you can, and the good thing is you can learn it. You can learn it as like you learn how to cook, you learn how to ride a bike. You can learn how to communicate effectively. In fact, it is very important to learn how to communicate effectively because sometimes you might even lose some real friends, lose big deals just because of your manner of communication. And that is why it is so important to develop your communication skills that will help you to communicate effectively. Because communication is a two-way thing. It's not like you just giving a lecture or talking to your child or talking to somebody. Communication is two ways, giving and receiving. So communication is a conversation, which means there's somebody who is talking and there's somebody who is listening, and you are waiting for feedback so that you can communicate effectively, and that you people in the people involved in the communication should be at the same level of understanding. And that is why the communication skills are so important, because they determine whether your communication was effective or whether it was not effective. And these are really simple tools that we can learn and use every day. It's not something very complicated. And why do they say communication is critical? Because even the best idea will never grow if the person who came up with it can't communicate it effectively. And so you might have very good ideas, but if you don't communicate them effectively, people will miss the meaning, and people will miss the value that you want to give. And that's why it is so important to develop your communication skills. And the good thing is, it is a skill that can be learned. So you can learn it like you learn to do every other thing. And once you learn it and start using it, it's going to bring you more success. That is why it is a foundation for your relationships, for your finances, for your profession. In everything, communication is central. And in everything, effective communication is key for success. And we will say that in communication, it involves communication, it involves conversation, it involves body language. It's not only talking. The body language is also part of non-verbal communication, because communication is verbal, that is the talking, and the non-verbal, which is like the dressing, your way of dressing, your tone, and the words that you're using go in the verbal communication. The non-verbal communication, they go with your facial expression, even the way you dress. Do you remember the time that you entered somewhere and people just looked at your dressing and started just like classifying you in whether you belong or you don't belong, or trying to decide whether to serve you with respect or not? Those are the things that communication, non-verbal communication do. They Your appearance will just give you the first reading about who you are. Sometimes we miss them when we only base on judging people by their appearance. But that is society. And so you hi Laquita, and Corey, you are so welcome. I hope you had a very beautiful weekend and that you are really braced up for a productive week. I'm happy to have you here today. And so today's topic, we are talking about how to improve your communication skills, because communication is considered very empowering life skill, and it is the foundation for every successful personal or professional relationship. And so when you don't communicate effectively, people might misread what you're saying, or what you're trying to the message you're trying to pass along, and it doesn't bring value, the value that you wanted to pass on. And that's why it is so important to build your communication skills, which is the reason why I decided to do this live stream topic in two phases. On Wednesday, we are going to have phase two, and phase two will be basically on communication in relationships. It's always a pleasure to have you, and I am always like, when you are around, I know that things are moving. So you're very welcome, and it is always a pleasure. I thank you for all the support and all the encouragement and for everything you do. So back to our topic, what are the basic skills that you need to communicate better? There are many of them. I just want us to pick a few of them because we are going to build skills and we are not going to build everything in one day. We are going to go progressively. And so the first real basic skill to communicate better is have something good to say. Choose your meaningful ways to say it. So just find something good to say. Because no matter how nice you say a bad thing, people receive it in a bad way. And so when you start by saying the first basic communication skill that I need, find something nice to say. So you can say something nice that you learn from your failures, your successes, your mistakes, and all the things that have made you learn, how you corrected them, and how you bailed yourself out of it. So, like sometimes when you think about communication, you think global. It's a whole setup of communication, of conversation, of listening, of talking, of verbal and non-verbal. But when you open your mouth to talk, the first skill that can help you to communicate effectively, have something good to say. When you have something good to say, and then you add a smile to it, no matter how the person who is listening, no matter how bad their day was, no matter how sad they were, no matter how their countenance was, when you say it a good thing, you light up the surrounding, you light up your environment, and you be the person that brings, even if you are going to communicate bad news, you communicate it in a way that the receiver will receive it with grace. And so for me, the first thing about effective communication, have something good to say. I also appreciate all of you in the chat, and if you have any contributions or if you want to come up and contribute to the topic, you are very welcome. So we are saying that the first basic skill for you to communicate effectively, have something nice to say. And then you might also want to, yes, blind guy his wife. So true. I'm always smiling and good things come to me more often, which keeps me smiling. Absolutely. Like they say, when you see someone without a smile, give them one of yours. That works for me too. Smiling. And the good thing about smiling, well, it saved me a few, look, it saved it saved me a few wrinkles. And smiling keeps you in a positive mood, and positivity attracts positivity. So you're smiling not just for the sake of it, but it's a good habit that can help you to stay healthy. And like they always say, smiling is free medication. So when you smile often, you are giving yourself free medication. And so secondly, about the second thing about the second basic skill you can use to communicate effectively is organize your thoughts before you share them. When you organize your thoughts before you share them, it gives chronology to your message, and that optimizes the chance of your message being received the way you want it to be received. So when you organize your thoughts and you organize the things that you want to say, it gives it clarity and it helps the person, it facilitates understanding for the person you're talking to or for the people you're talking with. And so if when you organize your thoughts before you share them, you are doing two things. One, for you, you are communicating you want people to hear the thing that you want to say the way you want it. And then two, you are facilitating them to understand. You are facilitating understanding for them. So for me, the second basic skill that you need to learn to communicate effectively is to organize your thoughts before you share them. The third one, repetition. Repetition. Sometimes you think that when you repeat something, it's boring, or you might want to repeat it not like over and over and over, but repeat it to a reasonable level where you are sure that your message has gone through. And like they say, it can always be helpful to rephrase what you have said. Rephrase it and repeat it. When you are talking with somebody, even whether the person is a child, an adult, or a colleague, or a spouse, you might want to rephrase what you say so that the person really gets the meaning of what you want to communicate. So you give the person the ability to really understand what you're saying. Because sometimes we hear that repetition is the mother, the father, the brother, the sister, the uncle. Repetition is everything for learning and communication. We learn basically through communication. Either we are listening to somebody, we are reading a book or stuff. So when you're communicating and you rephrase what you're saying, the person has the opportunity to really understand it the way you want it, and you have the opportunity to pass your message the way you want the person to understand it. And that will solidify your message and their memory while making sure your message is understood. And then clarity. You have to, another basic skill is be clear and concise. Be clear and concise. Get to the point quickly and efficiently without being rude or short while using the right tone and the right words. So when you are clear and concise, it facilitates communication because why? You're going straight to the point and you spare the person all the trauma of like trying to center your thoughts or trying to send to discern the message. So when you make your message clear and concise, it is easy to understand, it is easy to follow, and then the person who is listening to you can act accordingly. Like I always remember the way the story in the Bible, like for those of us, those of you who read the Bible, when we always read about the way Jesus was choosing his disciples, he did not, when he met anybody, he just said, follow me. Straight to the point. Follow me. So he did not like tell a lot of stories and no, follow me. So when you are clear and concise, the message gets quickly to the person because you get to your point quickly and efficiently without being rude or without being like using a tone. You always use your tone that will, like they say, the communication tone that will make the person you are talking with to listen. Hey, you're welcome, my brother, Black Guns and Gardens. You're so welcome. I am blessed to have you here this morning where we are talking about how to improve your communication skills. And this is part one. Yes, blind guy, people seem to get tired of hearing things more than once, but they are also unaware that their brain are being reinforced to remember by the repetition. Exactly. And that's why we're saying when you rephrase, you don't you say it in other words. It's repetition is always good, but also we have to be like mindful of not just getting boring. And that's why they say you rephrase it. You say the same thing in different words and you stick to your core message. So you want to pass your message across. The person might get bored with your repetition, but you can get away the boredom by rephrasing what you're saying. You say it in other words, and that will help the person to really understand. And yes, it's true. The brain works better when they repeatedly put something inside. It understands better and it functions better. It's really like true, it's boring, but that's the way you get the message across the way you want it. And another way of effective, another way you can improve your communication, another skill is say it. Don't assume that people know. Talk, ask. Sometimes we take it for granted. We just like I really don't like when somebody comes and says, guess what? You already put the person in some, like, you start thinking and you go so wild, and you really like spare the person you are talking with. Say it, don't let them guess, because most often, if you are saying, if you are in a in with your spouse, for example, in relationships, even with your family members, it is always good to communicate what you want them to know. Tell them, send the message across. Don't think that they will understand. People have so much going on in their heads that they don't really like, sometimes they don't pay attention to what is happening to you, for example, or they don't pay attention to your needs. You have to say them. Say it. Speak them out. Don't take it for granted that they will understand or they should know that. No, because people have so much going on, they can just be limited to thinking about or what is going on. You don't let people to just like procrastinate on what, or I don't know. Don't let people think or infer that something is happening or that you want one thing or the other. Speak it. You can, you say it. It's always more important to say it and talk about it than to just sit back and say, okay, they will understand. Especially in couples, with spouses. Don't ever take it for granted that my wife or my husband or my girlfriend or my boyfriend will understand. No, say it, so that when it doesn't happen, you know that you told them. Or so that when it happens, you also know that you told them. And really, that really, it really facilitates life for you people. And a lot of times, it closes a gap and mends wounds, especially with couples. Don't assume that the person will understand. Hi, Adams, my brother, you are so welcome. I hope you had a very beautiful weekend and that you are ready for a very productive week. And so today we are talking about how to improve your communication skills. And this is part one, because communication is such a great life skill. I decided to do this live stream in two parts. On Wednesday, we are going to do part two, and part two will be basically on communication in relationships, because that is so challenging. Thank you so much, blind guy, his wife. I appreciate everything you're doing, and I appreciate you being here, taking your time to come and support and encourage me. Thank you for the love. I greatly appreciate it. Thank you to everybody in the chat and those who are going to watch the replay. I greatly appreciate your support and your connection to the channel, and for everything that we are building together. I celebrate you all. So when we talk about communication and how ways of improving your communication skills, one of the things that we always really underlook, listening. Listening is a very, very big part of communication. Listening and paying attention. So you are not just listening to respond, you are listening and paying attention. Yes, my brother, communication is key. It can clearly help develop understanding between all parties. Absolutely. Absolutely. You couldn't have said it. That's it summarized it better. Absolutely. And so we are saying that, oh my goodness, I am so blessed to have my sister. How are you today?
Doing great. Hello, hello. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, 5 on 5.
Yes.
Hi, Owadia, you're so welcome. I am
Uh,
so happy. I'm proud of you. I celebrate you. I love you and thank you for everything. How was your
mm,
weekend?
Thank you. Thank you so much. The love is mutual. I love you as well. I appreciate everything, your channel, and oh, you're just so inspirational. I just love it. I love listening to you. And so thank you for having me here on the channel. And, everything is good today. The weekend was wonderful, and so this is my oh, thank you, Onwadia. I appreciate that. She says, we can hear you. Beautiful queen. So, the weekend was great, but communication, when I saw this title, I said, oh, maybe I can get on just for about 10 minutes because that is what we do, right? Myself and my husband. Communication has been, he has his communications degree, yes, but hey there, he does have his communications degree. However, we used those tools, those some of those things that he learned in order to make a living from it. So as storytellers, we educate, we entertain, and we train others through the art of storytelling. But really, it's communication, like you're saying. So when you were talking about repetition, those were some of the tools that we learned about when he was going through school, talking about different theories and different different ways to communicate. You repeat, like you're saying, you're very clear, you're very direct. You say it with a smile, you say it in the way that it's supposed to be for the occasion, because we unfortunately we were booked for a funeral. We had to perform a funeral, and so you're not going to laugh as much, but you do give the proper smiles and the proper sentiments. And it's just one of those things where we've enjoyed this communication. Everything you're saying, it's so key. It's so key that people really understand that what you what you don't say is just as important as what you do say. Your appearance. Um, I got braces. My front teeth were crooked and stuff, right? But because I spoke so much, and they're still not perfect, but because we knew that I knew that we would speak so much in front of people and we had so many opportunities, I said, okay, I need to do something because people see you and you smile and they automatically, oh, thank you. Spice it up with Omadia. Storytelling is in our blood. Let me tell you, it's such a beautiful way to communicate. And when you smile and your teeth are white, even if they're crooked, that's great. So I would keep them white. But then I said, well, what else can I do to make this even a better experience, on both sides? Because then I feel confident, they can trust me, they feel confident because I'm smiling brightly and I'm not holding back. So yes, yes, yes. But communication is important, and it's a lost art for a lot of people that are in the digital space. They don't realize how key it is that, oh, it's good. So I talk a lot. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Coach
No,
Mary.
it's okay. I'm really like, because you you are one of the couple that embody what communication is and how important it is, because you're able to communicate verbally, non-verbally. You communicate in every way. And
Mm,
for you, it's not like a challenging thing. It's so natural. And I
Mm.
always like mind blown when I listen to your husband. I'm like, how does he know all those things? He is
Yeah.
so fluent, and like the storytelling that you people do. I'm I'm just laughing because in Africa, we tell stories.
Yes.
We are an oral community where we just learn how to write later. But
Right.
most of our lives, we tell stories. And that's why, like I always tell people, we speak in proverbs because we have to say it in a way that you understand it, that you have it in your mind's eye, what
Yes.
the person is talking about. And so all those different I am really so happy that you're here because there's no one to talk about communication better than you because you know it verbal, non-verbal in every way.
Yes.
And
You,
so I will just sit and listen because you're going to go very soon. I am so
yeah, I'm gonna drive pretty soon, but I'll stay a moment because this is so wonderful being here with you. And when you say so, here's the thing. I'm always like, oh, say like with Onmadia, like yes, my favorite Nigerian, or you, my favorite Cameroonian, right? Because growing up here in the States, we did not hear that. We did not hear that these are our people. These are you are like, and so as adults, as we learned more, um, on my dear, this is where we said, look, we didn't have that childhood in our days. We just had the three little bears, and we had Goldilocks, and um, the big bad wolf, or whatever. We so as adults, we said, well, shoot, we want the storytelling days that our brothers and sisters had. Now that we know, like, wait, these are our people. If you're Nigerian, if you're Cameroonian, if you're Tanzanian, you're our people. We're all our people, right? If you're Jamaican, wherever you are around the diaspora. So this is where we said, okay, let's learn more. And it was Corey. Corey is a genius, just so that you know, Coach Mary. Corey is the one.
I
He's
know.
he's because he lost his sight. He can't see since he was 19, but he was always intelligent, and we were already dating and everything. So I loved him because we could just talk about whatever. We would just enjoy each other's time and whatnot. And so when he lost his sight, he had to go back to school. And that's where he went back for his communications degree. He knew he wanted to be an educator, but he said, okay, let's educate this way. Let's learn stories. And he had a lot of African professors at the university.
Okay.
So this is where we really started to deepen our love and learn more about, oh, like you said, the oral tradition. And that's what we first started teaching over the past 25 20, how long it's been 20 it's been a long time, 23 years, I think. that, because we started in 1998, so I have to keep 24 years now, I guess. So
Wow.
we we it'll be 25 years yet next year, yes.
Oh my
So
goodness.
it's been a long time, yes. So we said, oh, the griots, the oral tradition, the call response, that is what we would go into the schools teaching. All we would travel around the state of Virginia because we live in Virginia,
Okay.
nearby states, up and down the East Coast, and all of those things. And we have to make it interesting on Wadia because the thing is, people would always like some people learn different ways. These are the communication tools that we learned, right? That some people
Absolutely.
learn visually, so if Corey is telling the story, I got to do something, right?
And
So,
the way the two of you blend is like
mm,
it's so it's so complimentary. I
mm,
I will tell you something. I admire you. I am so proud of you.
thank you.
Not only now, you I don't know how to express it, but let me tell you another little secret. The first
Okay.
time I saw you in Zandeman's show,
Oh,
I
yes.
saw the name Blind Guy, his wife, and I said, how curious. I thought somebody was just writing something. I didn't know that really
That
it
he
was
is
a blind
blind.
guy and his wife.
Yeah.
And girl, I am really so proud of you. I celebrate you because 25 years, and it's not like it's a you didn't or he started, he didn't see his losing his sight like a handicap. He
Mm,
has enhanced it. He
yeah.
does so many things that even people with their two eyes cannot
Mm-hmm.
do. He is so gifted.
True.
And the thing is, I don't know how you developed it, but you are so complimentary.
Well, so wait, here's the thing. That's another part of communication. We've been together 30 years. We've been married for 22, and we started this business storytelling before we were married because, you just live and you're already dating and we were working on things. And so that's a part of communication because by now, if we can't blend, like Omadia is saying, if we can't blend, we just need to go. Like we need to quit, give up.
I
And go ahead.
No, it's another level because
Mm,
if somebody comes to your show, if you don't say it, nobody will imagine that he is visually challenged. Nobody.
yes.
I'm telling
Yeah.
you, nobody will know that because, like I said, when I saw the name, I thought it was just somebody writing a name. I didn't
Mm,
know that there was a meaning attached to it. But he does it so well. I'm telling
mm,
you, if you don't say it, nobody will know.
yes. Yeah.
And that because sometimes we think that when we have challenges we have to give up, which is so important because
Mm,
he has developed other talents and is using it so well that I am telling you, if you don't say it, people will not know.
they won't.
They
You know,
wouldn't.
this is where, so let me tell you how that works out, right? That's one reason why I say it a lot when we're on our live stream, because it is to motivate other people so that they know, like, he can't see. He really cannot, his eyes don't work. And we had to start saying, his eyes don't work. Oh, thank you, my dear. We had to start saying his eyes don't work because people, it's a phrase, it's a way that people just say, "Oh, I can't see," but they say it to say like, "I don't see well," or "I can't see that far." So people don't realize when we say he can't see, they don't realize he really can't see. So we had to start saying, especially with children. Children would say, "Oh, let me turn the light on," or "Do you need your glasses?" Because they don't know, they're children, you know. And then, like you're saying, when we perform, so here's the secret. We used to have a lot of fun with this because again, we've traveled and we've done so many different presentations, right? And so we go to a university. So everybody's an adult. They you would think they would know when you tell them something, but this is where communication comes in handy. We would say at the beginning of the show, Corey can't see, his eyes don't work. And we might say it somewhere in there, we put it into the show, his eyes don't work. Even our live shows, they're typically 1 hour talks, right? Maybe 1.5, but typically 1 hour. By the end of the show, the adults in the audience, and these are university professors or students or what have you, they've forgotten that he can't see, like you're saying, because even though we told them several times, they come right up to him, shake his hand, or they wave on the way out. And I'll just say, Corey, wave, they're waving, you know,
Because
because,
it's not our physical that defines us, is the person. So much beauty.
mm,
I'm telling you, if I come to Virginia, I'm going to visit you. I have family in Virginia.
yes, yes.
Yes. And I used to visit a lot of times. I really would like to meet you physically because
It's like the feeling is mutual. I'm going to put my information in the private chat for you so that way we will be connected, okay?
thank you so much. I am so like sometimes it's like you see some people and you say, why would others really complain and just sit
Mm,
there?
yes,
And you are doing such an amazing job because creating awareness is something really, really ongoing and so important because sometimes you just think this is the end of me because no.
yes,
And like they say, the more we are challenged, the more we dig deep for alternatives.
yep,
And you guys, I'm telling you, I'm not the only one who is saying it. Onwadiya said it. I'm sure everybody has told you,
Mm,
and you got it. Once you tell it to people, nobody will say, "Oh, no, you've already said it. He's visually impaired."
right.
That's not an issue. The
Right.
issue is what value does he bring?
Mm-hmm.
And so, if anybody who wants value would sit there and be looking at his eyes, that is their problem.
Right.
Those who want to find value in what he is saying, that is their gain. And so, I'm telling you, when you are doing your show, you just say it, people take it for granted. I took it for
Yes.
granted because I didn't even see any difference or anything.
Right.
And I'm really so proud of what you're doing because it's really going to help a lot of people.
Thank you.
And look, see how talented you two are.
Mm,
Imagine just going to keep those talents because you think that you one thing challenge you. No,
mm.
you get one challenge here, you pick up, and then you get the other good side of it, and then you keep growing. I'm telling you, it's not me. Everybody will say it to you, and
This
and
is wonderful.
if there
No,
is a
I appreciate this. This is, I'm so grateful for your words, but I'm sorry. Go ahead.
no, if there's a couple that have embraced like oneness, like they say in the
Yes.
Bible, the two will become one. I
Yes.
am so happy for you.
Thank you.
Because it's not every day that you see people who work together, who will blend like that. It takes a lot
Right.
of work because two of you have to be willing to work together. Two of you have to be willing to grow together. You were willing to grow together, and it is helping all of us. We are so inspired, and we are really, really grateful for everything you do, for the way you are, for the way your family is. It's a big blessing. And
Mm,
they look at when you let me tell you another secret. When I come to your channel, or even when I'm watching a replay, all the amazing things you do, because I always say it, tech is not really my friend.
oh,
Technology is it's
it's
not really
it's a
my friend.
challenge, right? This tech
And I
is
was saying,
challenging.
how do they do it? Oh my goodness. And then I just say, okay, I'm going to be learning one thing after another and one thing after another. The willingness to learn, the willingness to keep an open mind and just grow, the willingness to
Mm,
be better each day. You are doing it so well, and you are really inspiring all of us. I am really, really celebrating and thanking you for everything, for your service, because especially when you start with the children, they will
yes.
see that challenges are just another way of saying develop the other skills. And
Yes. Yes. You know, all of your words, they're just so true. I do appreciate and I'm grateful for your, your compliments and your appreciation of us because, like Onwadia was saying, you're so creative, right? The way, but that's a part of the communication. Whatever you give, you really do receive. And so when we are, oh, it's Bayou Bingo 25's first time to catch you live. So so it's one of the welcome in, I'm just I'm just talking about communication adding to the value, like you're saying. When life is really reciprocity. It's so true. So I smile a lot. I receive a lot because I'm giving off that good energy. I'm thinking good thoughts. When you smile, it makes you appreciate so many things that you don't appreciate. So whenever we're driving, talking about like the connectedness with Corey and I know he can't see. And I'm enjoying everything and I like to talk. So as we're driving, I'm always saying, like, oh, the trees are changing, or this is oh, there's an empty box over there on the side of the road. Oh, people are swerving because of that. So he knows everything that's going on. So this way he doesn't have to sit there with his mind idle and just be bored while we're driving and hear the hum of the road. And then that makes him come up with something like, oh, there's an empty box on the side of the road. It's probably an Amazon box. So now we're, it's like it's you being creative makes something else creative. And then also, of course, when you give that to other people, they give it back to you. And so, oh, thank you so much, oh dear. Look, I'm telling you, your energy and your vibes are the same way, and that's what keeps me coming back to your channel. I remember on Wadia's channel, there was someone that came in and said she should you should do something on this channel. And on Wadia, the way she handled it, I was like, oh, that was stellar. Talk about communication. She never dropped her smile. She never changed her voice. And she said, oh, if you're making this suggestion, I challenge you to the test. You bring it. That's something that you can do for your channel because you're commenting. I know you have a channel. That's something that I'm sure you would be good at because you can see the need. And she just turned that thing around instead of, how some people say, oh, this is not that channel. Nope, she never. It was just so positive in the way that. So I was like, oh, this is what I'm
She
saying.
is. She is.
Yeah. So you're really drawn to the good things. Like, when you communicate in a certain way, and like you're saying, you're clear, you direct, you repeat things. People remember those things that you repeat. And so this way you get what you want because you wanted to give them this message. And now they received it because you repeated it several times, several different ways. So when Corey and I are telling stories, he's telling it with his voice. I'm telling it with my facial expressions or my body language. And then, or sometimes I'll repeat something that he said in the story if we know it's a word that the audience is not familiar with. So if we say the griot, people don't know what a griot is. And so Corey might say the griot, and I'll say, oh, the storyteller. Just that simple one word. It gave the clarity. And now we can continue, and the people listening don't have to ponder. And of course, when we do our live presentations, there's a lot of call and response, a lot of repetition. And I grew up, my dad was a pastor. We went to church 78 to 85 days a week, I felt like. So, so that storytelling, that call response, it was in me anyways. And then when Corey and I developed it together, it was just good. It was just beautiful. Oh, good. The repetition, it it helps you, the teller, to remember your essential points. So when hey, Audrey's living life. So when you mentioned that clarity and repetition were a key part of communication, I was like, oh my goodness, absolutely. That's what we thrive on because then you know that your message is there and it opens up the conversation more. Because now, as you continue the conversation, the person can ask you about those things that you're repeating. They might be they might be curious about, well, why did you keep mentioning the griot? What's the importance? And like you just said recently, Coach Mary, well, we were an oral people. We talk in proverbs, and and what you didn't say is something that a lot of us understand to be true, is that, oh, your intelligence level is different, because you're able to develop more and think more deeply and more critically when you just have oral uh communication, more oral than just written.
I am so happy you said that. I didn't want to say it because some people will say, these people, they always think that.
Right.
Absolutely. And really, oracle, when you talk through storytelling, it is really so much more important because it's easier for people to remember and to keep it and keep remembering. And
Yes.
that's why we also integrate a lot of songs. We talk in proverbs and then we sing a lot. We send our messages through songs. People keep singing the songs and the message keeps registering in their minds. And but it's really not so different from like in the Western world where people will read to their children before they sleep. you, I remember when we used to go to my grandfather's kitchen because he had his own kitchen separate and listen to those stories and all the nice things that my grandmother would bring. But those were stories that they had stories that explained everything. Why the dog can't talk. They were how and why stories. I, I really don't. I don't know
Exactly.
why I didn't have that presence of mind to write those things down, because those stories, I will remember a few of them and really put them down. They are so, so important because they teach you faster, and we are intelligent. There's nothing about there are no
Yes.
two ways about it.
Yes. The intelligence level is so high, and people don't know unless they experience it. But go ahead, you finish.
No, absolutely, because you oh my goodness. It's so important because people think that we learned a few things because we traveled to certain places. Meanwhile, we
Right.
knew so much. We know
Mm-hmm.
so much. Even our ability to live and go to other places and adapt so well
Mm.
and really just blend and even do better than the people we meet there. Okay, let's come back to communication.
No, but it's
I,
all it's all connected because okay, like it's Audrey's living life is saying what you're saying. When she says verbal communication brings life to words and connects emotionally, like emotional intelligence is real. And let me explain something when we talk about emotional intelligence and songs, because you mentioned songs. So at our shows, whenever we go to an early childhood education center, that's like all the daycares where they have the newborns up to 12 years old.
okay.
So a lot of times we do summer programming at those places. And when they bring in the babies, like 1 years or whatever, they're crying because they just hear because we bring our music and we're playing music when they're coming in. So some of them they're just crying because they see the other ones crying, right? And they also are crying because there's just something different. However, we noticed as the older children come in, the younger children will stop crying because they're like, oh, wait, those children are laughing. So, this is where you come into emotional intelligence. The older children are not saying to them, it's okay. They see the older children following. And by the end of that hour, the 1 year olds, when we say clap, they're clapping. They're dancing, they're doing whatever, they're trying to repeat stuff, or they're just saying words whenever the other children are saying words, not because they can talk now, but because they just like, oh, we got to say something. We know, we understand. So there's a high level of communication, like you're saying, emotional communication, and songs. Whenever we go back, they always remember the songs. So it's like yes, verbal communication. There's a different level of emotion that you cannot emit through reading words. You can't read a text message or an email and understand the tone. And that's another reason why I will never learn certain languages, because my Nigerian friends that speak Yoruba, oh my goodness, I will mess up and, call somebody a goat thinking I'm calling them great because of the tones are different. And it's not just as simple as that. It's more deep where the same sound is like 5 words.
Absolutely. Our African languages are mostly tonal. And
Yes,
because there's one, when you say one thing, the tone determines the meaning of what you're
yes,
saying.
yes.
So, hi, Oban, you're welcome. Audrey, everybody in the chat, I am so happy that you're here. I hope you had a very, very beautiful weekend and that you are starting a productive week. I am Grace today with my lovely, beautiful sister, Laquita.
Thank you.
And how do they pronounce your name?
You're pronouncing it correctly. Yeah, Laquita. That's right.
Laquita,
Yes.
okay,
Yes,
Laquita,
yes, yes.
Laquita. The thing is, if you live in if you live in Africa, you are going to learn all those languages.
I
In
know.
Cameroon, we have 200 and more than 240
Hmm.
different local languages. And so you it's you just blend in them.
I
I
know
think
you.
I can speak like 10 of them. Then I speak English, I speak French, I speak Spanish. And let me tell you something about when you speak many languages. Apart from those, the tone that would really betray you sometimes, I really sometimes I get stuck when I'm speaking in French, I just
Mm.
put in the English word. Or if I'm speaking in Spanish and I can't get the word readily because I use English more, I just put the English word. And the beauty about communication is most often people understand what you're saying.
Yes, yes. I know what you mean, and that's speaking of communication and languages, that also is a part of the high intelligence level, because when you can listen and think and respond in various languages, like you're saying, like most of the Africans I know, they speak about 3 to 5 languages, like you're saying, and they also understand more dialects as well, because there's, more dialects from their local place, wherever they were from. And so my daughter, over the summer, she learned to speak Twi because we want to go to Ghana, and we were like, oh, let's take some lessons. But nope, we got her a job at a Ghanaian restaurant, and she can speak the language some, she can understand it even more. And then at school, there are several girls that came from Ghana and they speak Tree. So she has other people that she can communicate with. And like you're saying, so quickly, 3 months, And we're like, oh, free lesson. You don't have to go sit in class and learn verbs and no, just communicate. When you communicate, it's so much more powerful. Ooh, cooking with Kiki. I like food.
We have a real full house today. I'm so happy everyone's stopping by. I am really so happy. The beauty about all of this is I am so happy that you can allow yourselves to go visit Africa. You know,
Mhm.
before the internet, television showed us such horrible things about Africa that people just got scared and like, and so I'm telling you, when you go to Ghana, you will tell me about it. You will so
Yes,
like it there that
yes.
you will tell me about it. Africa is such a beautiful place, like other
Hmm.
beautiful places, but the media just, when they want to paint you, they paint you the way they want. And so the most people, they have the image of Africa like that kind of savage.
Yeah, it's one of those things where, like you're saying, it's the communication. They use the repetition of showing us just the worst. You know what I mean? And when I say the worst, like even here in the States, there are places in my city I'm not going to, you know, I'm not going to those places. But they don't show those places on the news if they're trying to get you to come to a festival or a fair. Same thing in Ghana. I know that I would love it, spice it up with Omadia, because let me tell you, there's a couple of different channels that I watch where they're always showing like the funeral rites and things that happen. And I'm like, wow, and I have a Nigerian friend that said, oh, I used to love funerals because there's so much that happens in those 2 weeks. It's not simply here in the States, we say, oh, it's a celebration of life, but it's not the way y'all do it in Nigeria, in Ghana, in Tanzania, in
In
Namibia, in all
Cameroon,
Cameroon. Yes, it's so different. And then on top of that, just the natural beauty, so we, for example, islands, excuse me, just one moment, please.
oh, okay, your phone. It's such a beautiful continent with so many beautiful things. People should really visit, because sometimes they even doubt what they see on the internet or on TV
Yes,
because they have such terrible ideas. Let me tell you a
yes.
little story that happened to me in Spain. I
Okay.
was in Spain and I had to I went for a I even just went to do the course because I was in the Spanish language class, and I decided to do another course that really is more not only language, grammar and stuff that will make me learn the language faster. So I went for a course in gender and equal opportunity. This is a course that I had already done in Belgium like 10 years before when I was still working in Cameroon. So I went to class, and there was this girl from Bolivia who came, who was sitting near me. And she turned and asked me, do you know that this class is for master's level students? I said yes. She sat. She was really like not really comfortable with me sitting there. I said yes, there was a selection process. I didn't just come here. And
Right.
then she turned again. And so they passed a list around for us to write our names. And yours truly, when I wrote my name, Mary, when I passed it to her, she wiped off the Y and put I.
Wait a
And I
minute.
turned to her and I said, don't tell me that even you who comes from Bolivia thinks like these Europeans that we live on trees in Africa. You think I
Right.
don't know how to spell my name?
Right.
And then I turn and I turn now and I like, okay, let me make it known to everybody in this class. So I said it aloud. I said, this is the last time that you interfere with my things because you are really going to see the savage African in me. If you try me, if you try me next time. And the whole class was quiet. And then the teacher said, what's happening? I said, she thinks that I don't know how to write my name. I write my name and she wipes off the Y to put an I. I said, don't ever try it because you would you,
You will find out why they call me Mary.
you will see that real African savagery in me today. So don't try me. And you know
So
what happened? She left the course. I'm
she
telling
she
you, she left. Like 2 days after she came and said, "Oh, I found a job that is so demanding and I can't come." Because I don't care if she thought that she couldn't sit in the same class with me or whatever. But I
right.
gave it to her. I told her clearly. I said, "Really? So you think like these Europeans that Africans live on trees and that I can't even write my own name?" I said, don't ever do it. You will see. You hear that Africans are savage, right? you, you will
So
see.
I so this is where the communication comes in, right? Because let me tell you, this is where you I was saying about reciprocity. You give and you get whatever you give, right? You were giving her politeness, you were giving her consideration, she was giving you nastiness, and you said, "Oh, well then if that's what you need, I can let you know why they named me Mary because look." So because the thing is, my children, my husband is blind, he can't see, and the children were outside, but Corey is the one that always takes them out in the snow. Always, since they were little. I would stand at the door and put the phone out and take picture, and then I would be like, "Oh, we playing in the snow," but it was him, right? And then I would get them dressed. So this was just about 4 or 5 years ago. We were outside and the kids were outside. I came onto the back porch to get some pictures, and the neighbor, we had just moved there recently, so the neighbor, she started talking bad, like, "Oh, they're too close to my car." And I said, "Oh no, they're just doing whatever," because she was cleaning off the snow. And Corey was like, "Oh, well, y'all come over here a little closer to me or what have you." And she said something else, and I said something else politely, but then she said one more thing. And like you're saying, 3 times, look, 3 strikes, you are out. And I told her, I said, "Look, you need to stop and you keep talking." And she was like, "Well, you something," she said. And I said, "No, I'm not going to stop talking. And if you keep talking, I'm going to keep talking. And if you're going to be a problem, I'm going to bring you some problems." And then, so she would try to sneak and say mean things to Corey. So when he would be out front waiting for the children to come home from the bus, one day she said to him something like, "You don't have anything better to do than to stand out here." So Corey told me that, but Corey, he doesn't have a mean bone in his body. He's just so busy trying to take the high road. And I get it. That's good communication. But she's that lady. Sometimes she would wear a neck brace, and sometimes she wouldn't wear the neck brace. So I said, "Okay, I'm gonna do to her what she." So one day I saw her. She was by herself out front. And I said, "Yes, bring me the problems. I'm ready for the smoke." Right. And I told her, I said, "You say one more mean thing to Corey, I'm calling the disabilities office and I'm going to let them know that you have that neck brace on and you have it off. And sometimes it's in your trunk. You don't know. You don't know." And let me tell you, I have so many mean bones to throw, but I don't give those mean bones unless they request them, like you had to do with the lady, because, communication really. we choose to give the positive communication, the good communication. However, and we know it's reciprocal. However, we also know that if you need to, I can show you what I can give you what you're asking for.
Absolutely. Because sometimes you really want to stay so calm and so polite and so
It,
civil, but they want to bring it out.
yeah, they
They
want
want
the
to
smoke.
bring it out, and then they say we are too, we are savage, we are brutal, we are violent. You come for it
You come.
because sometimes you don't sit there. You have to defend yourself,
Yes.
and nobody will say it was self-defense. They just put you there out out there. It's like that because you have to make them know, like they say, you make them know how you want to be treated.
Yes. Yes. You know, I have to. I was supposed to be here 10 minutes. I have one more story, but don't let the smooth
Thank
taste
you
fool
so
you.
much.
I want to give this last story about communication because, like you're saying, you start with the smile and you do whatever you need to do to, in the situation, you present the proper thing. So I'm driving. I'm about to start driving again, but I have a lead foot. I drive fast most of the time. If I think no police is around and I say, oh, well, let me just go a little bit faster. I have good tires on my car. Um, I'm in a safe position. I'm not going to drive recklessly, but the speed limit is too slow. So I'm always driving faster, right? I get stopped by the police a lot because of that. so so I learned how to communicate with the police. When they come up, I start with a smile and an apology, and I started it worked. I start talking and I always say, now this is, I have to pull out the blind card even if Corey's not in the car. I always say, oh officer, I don't know, I didn't mean to drive that fast and my husband is blind. It works. I don't know what it you so I just use what I have. So what I'm saying is that when you need to communicate and get your message across, use whatever it takes to grab people's attention to get your message across. And yes, I have gotten out of a lot of tickets that way. I've gotten quite a few, but I got tired of paying them. So now I started to slow down. But whenever I get caught, woo, I get out of them.
You
I
have
get
to
out
find a
of
way to survive. And we are people who survive. I'm really, really so grateful. I hope you're not going to miss your appointment or going late to where you're going. I am
them.
really so happy. It you see, it flows. We can talk the whole day, and I'm so really blessed. And I'm sure the people in the chat and all those who are going to watch the replay, they are really going to be blessed with this
I hope
conversation.
so.
It is so, so, so necessary. Communication, sharpen your skills, improve your communication skills to communicate effectively. Because
And you can get
sometimes,
what you want.
every time you communicate, you want them to get the message. So you
Yeah.
find ways of getting the message to them. If they don't want you to be really polite and civil, then give them the what they will really understand because you don't want to walk away without being understood.
Right.
So
Right. Right. Exactly. That is the whole point, right? Get your understanding across and be understood, and mutual respect. In the end, mutual respect. Like it really makes a difference. Really good and practicing that communication, you get better. Practice makes perfect. It's a saying, but it's true. You get better and you get better. This has been a beautiful conversation. I'm glad I finally got to talk to you face to face. And so I'm if you put me into the green room, I'll put my information into the private chat before I leave the studio for you, if that's okay.
okay, okay.
But thank you so much for having me on your panel. I apologize. I overstayed. I was supposed to be here a little bit
Oh
longer.
no, I am
So,
so happy. I am so blessed. I am so like this is a great conversation, and I am really happy because we are just giving the real examples of how to communicate effectively, and you're doing just that. So thank you
mm,
so much. I am really, really, really grateful.
yes, thank you. Thank you as well. Enjoy your day. And I'll get off here, put my information in, and then I'll go back to listening, but I'll be driving at that point.
Absolutely. Give my love to Corey and the kids. Thank you so much. Have a very productive week. I love you and I thank you. I appreciate everything you do. Thank you so much.
Mm, thank you as well. I love you. Thank you.
Guys, this is real fire today. I am so I don't know if you guys really are enjoying this conversation, but I am really so happy. Laquita came up and really gave us the other side of it and the best side of it. Communication is something that we can learn. You learn it and then you perfect your skills and you become an effective communicator because it will help you in personal life, in your professional life. So it's something that will help you all the way and you need it throughout your life. And some of these things you think they are complicated. No, they are not complicated. To learn how to 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 have something good to say is not complicated. To organize your thoughts before communicating is not complicated. You learn it like you learn every other skill, and then you do it, and progressively it becomes a habit. And so we were on the importance of listening because that is one of the key components of communication that most of the time people overlook. We don't take it seriously, or we don't think it plays an important role in communication. Meanwhile, when you listen, we mean intentional listening. It's not like you just listen to respond, but you listen to understand. And this helps the person who is talking to you to have the feeling that they are being listened to, or that what they are saying is important. And that's why it is so important to practice active listening. Be present in the communication, in the conversation. When you are conversing with somebody, listen actively. And one of the ways, excuse me, one of the ways you can show somebody that you are listening actively is to rephrase what they said and ask them, did I understand? Is this what you meant? And so when you do it that way, the person who is listening to you, or when you are talking to somebody and the person is listening, so you feel and you know that that person was listening by the fact that the person will repeat in their own words what you were saying to see if they really understood your meaning, because there is always a big gap in what we communicate and the way people receive it. Because why? There's the tone, there are the words that we use, and so we have to be aware of the kind of words that we use, the tone that we are using, because all of those they contribute to the way your message will be received. I'm really sorry. Sorry about that. I'm a little. I went out yesterday in the cold and I came back with it. So when I talk about the importance of listening, I remember vividly one of the stories I read about Nelson Mandela. Nelson Mandela, the legendary Nelson Mandela of South Africa, who is an embodiment of resilience, using failure as a springboard. He will always, like when somebody asks him, what makes you or what made you a good leader? And he said, my ability to listen. Thanks for the share and thanks for all of you being there in the chat and for participating and really for making this a great conversation. I'm really so grateful for all of you. So when they asked Nelson Mandela what made him a great leader, he said his ability to listen. And he shared a story about how when he was young, because his father was a village chief, like those of us who come from Africa, we know what village chiefs are. So the father was a village chief, and the village chief always have their counselors or advisors. It's just like you have the president and then you have the ministers or the advisors. So the father was a village chief, and they would always go, he would always follow his father to this village, the council meetings, the meeting of the elders and the councillors. And he said he learned two things. His father would listen to everyone else, one, and then his father will always be the last to speak. And so that I found that that was a very good quality that we can all learn, and really, except you are the one who is doing the speaking, if not, excuse me, if not, listening is a very, very important aspect of communication, because you really get what the person is saying. You can respond to what the person wants you to respond, and you have a mutual respect for each other, because the person is talking and you are listening. The thing is, sometimes we are challenged with listening because there are so many things passing through our heads, or we are just waiting to respond, or thinking of what should I say next. No, it's a little habit that you can be a little patient and just be there, present at the moment. Be present at the moment when you are talking with somebody. When somebody is talking with you, be present at that moment. Listen to them intentionally. Listen to understand what they are saying, and that will help you facilitate the answer that you can give them. So you are not just listening to wait for your turn to talk. You are listening, and you are listening to communicate, to converse, and not just to respond. So listening is a very, very neglected part of communication, of conversations. Meanwhile, it is a very, very essential part of it. It is key. When you listen, you understand so many things, and you get really much more than just what the person is communicating. Because when you do intentional listening, you listen to the tone, to the words, to the message, and all of that, they contribute to how well you receive your message, or how effective you have communicated. And that is why you would want to learn how to listen as an integral skill of how to improve your communication. So when I listen to when I read this story from Nelson Mandela, he also said, like in a meeting place, or if you are an entrepreneur, or like you work with people and you are the boss, one of the things that he also said is when they went to those meetings, the father would allow them to sit in the circle, that they will sit in a round circle. And that gives the impression that everyone is the same or equal. It doesn't give the impression that, no, this I am boss, or you have to listen to me. You are in a circle, and it creates that confidence, because one of the things that enables effective communication is you create an atmosphere of confidence, so that the person who is listening to you has your trust, and then you can now communicate better. You can really have mutual understanding of what you're saying. So he said, my father used to put everybody to sit in a circle, and then he will listen to everyone, and he will speak last. So as a leader, learn to speak last. Because when you learn to speak last, you give value to your workers or to your team. You give value to everybody, and it gives them the confidence to clearly or to easily communicate their ideas. And you can really get a lot of good ideas from people that you didn't really expect or imagine, just because you have created an enabling environment. And what is an enabling environment? You are sitting in a circle and you are listening to them, and you are speaking last. Because when you come to an office and you are the boss and you say, oh, there's a problem and this is what I think, now everybody's thinking is conditioned by what you said. But if you come and say there is a problem, what do you people think? And then you sit and listen to them, you will be amazed at a lot of proposals that you can get, and at a lot of things that people can say, just because you gave them the respect and you gave them the opportunity to express themselves. And so practice real effective listening, active listening, because it makes the person who is talking with you, they know that you give value to what they are saying. And when we feel validated, we are happy and we are prone to do better. So most often we miss out on little things because of just little skills or tweaks or little adjustments to the way we do things. And so we are saying communication is really important and central. But when you mess it up, sometimes you miss the message, you miss the value, you miss so many things. And that is why it is so important to cultivate the skills you need to improve your communication. And communication is something that we practice in our homes, in the office, in the work, wherever human beings are born to communicate in whatever way. And so we have to derive creative ways of communicating effectively. Because when you are communicating, it means there's a message you want to send across. Find ways of sending it, the message, effectively, in a way that it will be useful for the people who are listening to you, or the people who you want to communicate with. And since communication is such a key issue, I decided to divide this live stream into two parts. We are talking about how to improve your communication skills in general today. On Wednesday, we are going to really discuss on how to improve communication in relationships, because we are in the business of building ourselves and building genuine communities where people can feel free to just be them and talk and grow. And so we need to learn how to optimize our communication skills to be effective and to be able to help each other very well. So on Wednesday, we are going to talk on communication in relationships, some of the little things that you can do to make communication in relationships more effective and helpful for all of you. Because like we say, communication can close the gap between people, communication can heal wounds, but you have to have the skills to communicate effectively, because communication can also bring war. Communication can also hurt people if you don't do it very well. Hey, this is my coach. Coach, you are so welcome. You missed Laquita. She was here and she was on fire. She graced the live show today, and I was so proud. She was with me on the panel for more than, yes. She was with me in the panel for more than 1 hour. She's driving out, so she might not be able to respond because she's driving now. But she was here for 1 hour and she shared some amazing tips on how to improve your communication skills, especially sharing her experience and the way, yeah, and the way she came to really blend communicating with Corey, and how they blend to communicate so effectively together. It was so mind blowing. I don't know if you have time to watch it again, but she shared some golden diamonds, and I'm really so happy that I had her in the panel today. And I'm really grateful for you because it's on your panel that I met them, and she has always been so supportive, always there, showing love and support, encouraging, and practically doing things to make things happen. So, Coach, I'm really happy. I hope you had a very beautiful weekend and that you've started a productive week. I know you're so busy, busy, busy. Today is the last day of October. We are going to enter into November, and that's like the second to the last month to the end of the year. So I know it's a very busy, busy time. And so I'm happy that you had time to stop by. Today's topic, we were discussing on how to improve your communication skills. And we were like really talking about practical ways of how to improve your communication skills. And the first thing, like we said, was you have to have something good to say. When you have something good to say, you are going to communicate better because people want to hear good things. They want to hear things that will uplift them. They want to hear things that will help build them. And so, what good things can you say? You can say good things about the lessons you learned from your experiences, the successes, your failures, all the things that you learn, and how you use them to build better, or to see how you scale through your challenges. And so, when you look at communication and put the skill of always trying to say something good, you will send your message across more easily. And then we said the second way, or the second skill that you can use. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Coach. Yes, this is my specialty, and that's why I'm putting it into live streams. Today I'm just talking about communication, how to improve your communication skills in general. On Wednesday, I would really like to discuss about how you can improve communication in your relationships, because we are building people, we are building ourselves to be better spouses, friends, better people in our communities. We are just building ourselves to become better. And there's nothing best that can help us than our communication skills. Hey, Ben, you are so welcome. Communication is key. Yeah, my parents always taught me that social skills before my absolutely. That your parents taught you very well, because no matter what you have or what you know, if you don't know how to communicate it, if you don't know how to say it, and if you don't know the way to do it, it's not going to send your message across. And people, sometimes when you don't know how to say it, people misunderstand your message, and they really misunderstand your message. You can really be well meaning, but the way you say it leads people to misunderstand your message. And that is why we are saying the first basic skill about communication is have something good to say. Have something good to say, so that people would really be happy to listen to you, or that people would learn something each time they talk with you. And we said you have to organize your thoughts before you share them, because this gives your message the best chance of being received the way you want it to be received. You organize your thoughts, and then you share them in a clear and concise way. And that brings us to the third skill that you need: be clear and concise. Be clear and concise, because you get to the point quickly and people will get the message quickly. I always i always say, so good to see you, Zande man. I'm at the okay. So Zande man, Laquita is at a stop, and she is sending you her love. I don't know if you're still there, coach. Okay. Yes. I am really I miss you all, and I really have to plan a vacation over there to see all of you. So we were saying that when you are clear and concise, you get your message faster and directly. It's more quick, to the point, efficient. And I always like to remember the way when Jesus was speaking his disciples. I'm not a very good Bible student, but I read the Bible from time to time. And I remember, because I see communication effective in the Bible, I remember that every time when Jesus was choosing his disciples, he was clear and concise in his communication with them. He would just see you and say, "Follow me." He did not need to tell you a big story or whatever. "Follow me. I will make you fishers of men," like he told the fishermen. You no longer fish, you are going to fish men. So it clear and concise, you quick to the point and direct, and it helps the person to understand also quickly. And another thing about one communication skill that you have to develop, learn to speak it. Don't always think that people would understand, or they will imagine, or they will infer, or guess. People would sometimes you guess things that don't even exist. And so speak it, especially when you are in a relationship or in your family. It is good to communicate clearly what you want them to know. Because when you don't communicate and you leave it blank for people to understand, or to infer, or to guess, they can guess so many mind-blowing things that are not even related to what you are thinking. Like sometimes they will explain to us that when you ask yourself, "Who am I?" And most times we think like I, I would still quote one of my coaches, Jay Shetty. He says, sometimes we think that people are thinking things about us. Meanwhile, we are just what we think people think we are. And most of the times, what we think people think we are is not even what they are thinking. And that is why it is so important to say it, talk, communicate, talk about it, say it. Do not assume that people know. And that brought us to another key element of communication: listening. Like active and intentional listening, to not listening to respond, but listening to understand, and listening to really get value from what the person is saying. And then now you can respond in a very, like, you respond the way the message is intended to be received. And one of the ways that you can show somebody that you were an active listener, when they finish speaking, you paraphrase what they said and ask them, "Do I understand that this is what you meant?" And so that way you guys have a perfect understanding. That way you guys have a perfect understanding, and you are communicating because you are at the same level of understanding. The person has communicated, they have told you, given you the message to show them that you were an active listener. You paraphrase what you heard, and then you ask them, is that what you meant? And so this gives the person who was talking the opportunity to either rectify, to add, or to rectify what you paraphrased. So they will say, oh, yes, exactly, that's what I meant. Or, oh, no, no, in addition, I wanted you to understand this way. And so you two are bringing value to each other, because people are always more motivated when they know that they are being listened to. And and so you go with the communication, you in a conversation, people feel they have had a win-win transaction. Like my coach Zan always says, life is a transaction. Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Laquita. Take care and stay safe. Drive safe. Take care. It was a real pleasure too. I also immensely enjoyed your contribution, your participation, and your being here. And so we were like listening, and this is something that we can practice. We have to be intentional. If we want to get value from everything, we have to be intentional in the way we do our things, in the way we do things, in the way we communicate, and in the way we listen. Because communication is a two-way traffic. It's the person who is talking and the person who is listening. And both the listener and the person talking have a big role to play for the message to be received the way you want it to be received. The message to be received, the message that you want to pass on, you want it to be received in the way you want the person to act upon. And so listening becomes so important, so capital. It's such a skill that you really need to learn. Not listening to respond, but listening to understand, and then to communicate better. And so, because when you are listening, it gives the person who is talking the push to know that they are being listened to, and that what they are saying has value, and that they are not wasting their time. And so when you make people feel like that, they are really bound to give you the best. And so when you want, there's a way you can talk to somebody and really convince the person to do something, even if they really did not want to do it. Not like I'm not saying you convince somebody to like do something, something terrible. Oh, sorry. I'm not saying that you should convince somebody to do something terrible. Oh, my. Oh, okay. Sorry, that's okay. Not that you're convincing somebody to do something terrible, but you want to communicate something that is helpful for people, and so you want to make them really understand what you want to say, and then you want to get feedback. And feedback is always very useful, because most of the time when we communicate with people, we need feedback to be able to act upon it, or to improve upon what we want, or to get information on something that we want to do. And that is the where the listening and the feedback plays such a capital role. But if you are not listening in actively, intentionally, you miss out. Because what happens is, most often we listen, but we are multitasking, or we are doing something else. We are thinking about something else. There is nothing as disrespectful as somebody talking to you and you are there on your phone, and when the person finishes talk, oh, what were you saying? That really just breaks the relationship and breaks the intention of the person, and really breaks their morale, because it's like what they're saying was not important, or you don't have time. So those are little ways that you can avoid problems, just by actively listening to people. And even like, think about it like you were talking to a child. When you're listening, and the person knows that they have to be concise and clear, it doesn't take a long time for you to communicate. The person is concise, clear, they have organized their thoughts, and they are saying something good, and you are listening. You can really be actively listening, because what they are saying is pleasant, what they are saying is concise, what they are saying is clear, and they have organized their thoughts. So it facilitates the communication process. So it's you that has to make it a very good and harmonious process. Sometimes the people we are talking to, they are not at the same level of understanding like us. And that is why repetition plays a capital role in communication. Don't think that repetition is boring. Repetition most often will make people really get the message the way you want it to the way you want to pass it. And repetition will be boring if you repeat the very thing over and over. Repetition here is you say one thing, you paraphrase it, you say it in another way, you paraphrase it again and say it in different ways. So you paraphrase it, but you have your key points that you want to pass across. You paraphrase it until you are sure that the person has received it. But make sure you're not paraphrasing it in such a way that it becomes like redundant, or like the person feels like bored in what you're saying. And so it is helpful for you to repeat what you're saying in a different form. You can paraphrase it, and in that way, what you're saying sticks better, and it helps to solidify your message, and it helps the person to also really understand exactly the message that you're sending across and the way you want it. And so I also shared the story about, I read about Nelson Mandela when they asked him why he was a great leader. Like I said, today we are talking about how to improve your communication skills in general. That is part one. On Wednesday, we are going to talk about how to improve communication skills in a relationship. But so I'm bringing Nelson Mandela's example like a leader, and when he was asked, how is it, or what are some of the skills that you use to make you such an awesome and successful leader? And he said, he listens. He listens. When people come to talk to him, he listens actively. He listens to understand what they are saying, and to understand what they want, and to understand how he can help, or how he can better intervene. And he was not born a listener. He learned to be a listener. And he gives us the example of where he learned to be a listener. His father, he says, was a village tribal chief, and he used to follow his father to the council of elders meeting. And he learned two things. His father would always sit with all of them in a circle, which gave the impression that all of them were equal, and that they were there working together as a community, as one man. And secondly, his father will be the last to speak. He will listen to everybody and be the last to speak. He was not a dictator who will come and say, this is a problem that we have, this is what I think, and that's how we can solve it. No, because he was working on consensus, because he thought and he knew that everybody's contribution was important. And so that's the best way you can get. If you are a leader, you have a team, you are a team leader, that's the best way you can have the best from your workers or from your team. Let them speak on any project first. Even if you have the whole project drawn out, listen to them. They will speak first. You will be amazed at so many things that you will learn when you learn how to speak last as a leader. You let them bring all the ideas they have. They will feel so free because they feel that they are part of your team, they are part of the project, and they are happy to participate fully. They will give you every skill, every proposal that they can think of that you guys can work on to make a successful project. So give your team the pride of place to speak first, and then you can speak last. And when they are speaking, listen to them. You can ask questions, follow up questions on things that you don't understand or things that you think are important. You want them to repeat them so that everybody should get a common understanding, which brings us again to the skill of repetition. Repetition, we say, is the mother, the father, is the key of learning, and communication is the key of learning. So repeat it. Let them repeat what they were saying. We tell them, oh, I didn't understand this point. What did you mean? Or what did you mean by this thing? And then they will explain it. And there's nothing as important as when people feel they are being valued, that you give them value. They feel like I belong, I am valued, my participation is important, and they give you their best. Once people know that they are being valued, they always give you their best. And so practice listening. As a team leader, practice speaking last. It will really boost your enterprise. It will boost your teamwork. It will lead to a lot of successful projects. Just letting people know that they are being listened to and that they bring value and that what they say is important is so important, is so valuable to the team building that you can't really even measure it. And that is why they say listening is a key component of communication. It's a key skill that you can learn to improve your communication. And absolutely, you can learn it. It's like a skill like any other skill. It's a life skill. You can learn it. Hi, Nkechi, you're so welcome. I hope everything is okay. I hope you had a beautiful weekend. I hope you started a productive week. I am so happy to have you in the live stream. Today we were talking of how to improve your communication skills, and you can really go back and watch the beginning of the replay. They were so amazing. I had an amazing guest, blind guy, his wife, their life, and they shared some real golden nuggets about communication. And they have some practical examples of how they have been able to blend their communication to be able to communicate effectively and efficiently. And you would really like to watch and learn more. And so communication being a very important aspect of business, of personal life, of relationships, gives us the real opportunity to have to take time to talk about it. Thank you very much. To take time to talk about it. And that's why I put this series in two parts. Like today was part one, where we just talked about how to improve your communication skills, your general communication skills. And that's why I am insisting on, if you are a team leader, if you are a team builder, because most of us are entrepreneurs, are content creators, we might work with a team. Learn to listen to your team. Learn to listen to your team members. In any project, if you come to sit and brainstorm, listen to them first. Then you can now do a synthesis of every idea that you have had, and that will give you a lot of ideas to work on. And they will also feel very involved in working. Thank you so much. They will also feel very involved in working in that project because they feel that they are an integral part of the project. So there's, you can just make somebody feel that they are being valued, and they will give you more than enough value, because it's give and take. If you give them value, they will give you value. And one of the ways of giving value to somebody, listen to what they are saying. Don't just push it aside. Don't think that um, what they are saying doesn't make sense, or that what can they say. Don't judge people, because like we say, communication is verbal and it's non-verbal. Sometimes you just see somebody and you think that from their dressing they can't bring value. Their dressing have already communicated that they are people who don't bring value, but most often we are mistaken. Don't judge people from the way they are dressed, from the way they talk, from the way. Learn to listen to people. You will learn so much from them, because most of the times we miss a lot of things because we are too judgmental. We think that when we see somebody we can already know what they are. No, talk to people, you will really know who they are. And learn to in a conversation, it's not only what the person is saying, the tone they are using, the vocabulary. And so when you are even talking with people, you have to build your vocabulary. And that comes in, one of the ways you can improve your skills, we said, was to organize your thoughts before saying them. Be clear and concise. And your vocabulary, the words that you use, are so important, because sometimes you, one displaced word, excuse me, sometimes you, one word that is not well placed can just spoil a lot of things. Meanwhile, you were really well meaning, but you just misplaced the word. And that is why you have to organize your thoughts, be clear and concise, and use real vocabulary that will build. And that's why one of the main, or one of the first basic skills you need to communicate effectively, have a good story to tell. Have something good to say. Find something good to say to people. And it's not difficult to find something good to say, because we are in the business of building ourselves up. Building ourselves up in the sense that we want that every day we will be better than what we were the previous day. Tomorrow I have to be better than what I am today. And so you will always find something good to say when you are talking about the lessons that you learn from your failures, from your mistakes, from your challenges, the lessons that you even learn from your successes, the lesson that you learn from everybody you interact with. Find those lessons, and the ones that are, that can help you build, talk about them, share them. And so when we build a positive mindset, we look for lessons in everything. We don't look for where we don't look for failure. We look for lessons, and we share the lessons. Audrey says communication is not about making people think like you, but to understand what each other are thinking. Often this will allow you to be mutually respectful even if you disagree. Absolutely, Audrey. Thank you so much for bringing this up. And that is why we say you listen to understand, because you are understanding them from their own point of view. And when you listen and understand somebody from their point of view or from where they are coming from, you can always agree, like they say, to disagree. I really don't want us to enter into this disagreement, because mostly it's in relationships, but also in the workplace. You might be working on a project and you don't like the perspective that your colleague have. You have colleagues and you are doing teamwork. And why is it communication key? Like Audrey says, you listen to each other, their points of view, their perspective, to understand what they're saying, and you respectfully disagree with them, not by saying, no, this is not, no, you don't say like that. You tell them, okay, I have heard what you said. I was thinking that we could do it in this way. And then you guys find a mutual understanding. You find a mutual conclusion. You find a mutual solution. And you have said it all, mutual respect. Even if you are talking with a child, they say you respect is give and take. You don't expect respect when you don't give it. So respect, give and take. No matter who you're talking with, respect them. Respect their point of view. Even if you don't agree with them, respect their point of view and agree to disagree. Ben says, being a Scottish person in Brazil, it was quite hard to communicate, but after having patience and determination, we got there in the end. Now I can communicate through Portuguese, still working on it. Language, it's a very, very big part of communication. And like this, like they say, Ben, I'll tell you one story. I was working in an NGO, Lead International. The head office is in London, but we have offices worldwide. There's even an office in Brazil. And we had the CEO when I was working then was an Englishman. So we used to go for, when we go for our annual meetings, we have people from all over. And we had a cultural evening where everybody would dress in their cultural attire. And so the CEO will come with his suit and will say, oh, this I am English. I don't know, you guys speak Scottish or you speak English? Is there something like a Scottish language? I don't know. So he will say, I am English. Like English, we just have our language and the suit, and we have nothing else. And we have nothing else. Like English is like just the suit and nothing glamorous about it, and we will laugh at it. But I'm really so proud of you because you were able to go to Brazil, learn Portuguese. The thing is, you live in Brazil. Every day you're going to hear Portuguese, even if you don't go out of you on TV, you hear it, on radio you hear it, because that is the language that they speak predominantly. Hi, Ziberries, you're so welcome. Thank you for coming, and thank you for the thumbs up for everybody who is out there. Okay, okay, okay. You have a language. So just to say that the people who speak English most of often, they find it I don't want to say difficult. They find it challenging to learn another language. But the thing about language is once you live where they speak it, it's easy for you to, not easy, it's easier for you to learn it because you would interact with people who speak it every time. And so I'm so proud of you that you are learning Portuguese, and then you were speaking it, and you just have to learn it because you have to live with it every day. And it's a bonus because now you speak, in addition to Scottish, English, you're speaking Portuguese. So the more languages you speak, the more open your mind is, because you see the world in different languages, and it's a big, big blessing. So keep learning, and you are in the right place because you are in a community where they speak it all the time. So it's a good thing to learn a new language. But be mindful of the tone, because most languages, the tone determines the meaning. I don't know for Portuguese, but if you were to learn some language in Africa, you would be mindful of the tone that you, it, because the languages in Africa mostly are tonal languages. I don't know Portuguese. I don't speak Portuguese, so I don't know. But some languages are tonal languages, which means there's a word whose meaning differs, they depending on the tone that you use. So maybe if I will give you one advice about, like, somebody who has learned so many languages, be mindful of the tone, because sometimes you might intend to say one thing and it will give a different meaning because of the tone that you are using. But if not, you are doing a great job, because learning a new language is always a big challenge, but it is not difficult, especially when you live in that community. So right on, and I really would really like for you to experience Brazil in the eyes of Portuguese. You will enjoy it better. Thank you for the share, Ziberis. I'm so grateful. Thank you all for being here. It's been a very, very beautiful conversation. I'm so passionate about communication. I am a communicator by profession, so that drives my passion for the topic. And that's why I decided to put it in two parts, because I really wanted to do a general communication skills part one, and I really want to take time to do how to improve communication in relationships, because this is a key issue. Because we are in relationships, either in the home with our families, with our spouses, or relationships with our colleagues in the office, relationship with, we go to the mall. We are in relationships every time, everywhere. And that is why it is so important to work on your communication skills. The good thing about communication skills is you can learn them. It's just like you're learning how to cook something, or you're learning how to ride a bike, or you're learning how to drive, because you can learn it and practice it and become perfect in the way you do it. But learning communication skills is not a matter of waste of time, because you need it. You need to communicate effectively, whether you are at home, at the personal level, or at the professional level, or with your colleagues, or with your team. Effective communication skills can really help you to gain a lot of success, just because you know the right way to communicate. And it is not difficult, it's not complicated. You can communicate very well. You just need to learn a few skills and you use them, and that will improve your communication. It will make it effective, and it will give you more success. So in for those who are coming now, we were talking about how to improve your communication skills, and I shared 5 skills today, which I think are really important. Thank you, Cynthia. I thank you all for being there. I thank everybody in the chat, and those of you who are going to watch the replay. I thank you all for being part of this community. Thank you for us to build together, and thank you for always supporting and encouraging. So we discussed how to improve your communication skills, and one of the main ways, the first basic, those are basic skills, because they are not difficult to learn. It's just a try to practice them, be intentional about them. And I said the first one for me was always have something good to say. When you have something good to say and you say it in a real, like, meaningful way, you communicate better and people are really happy to listen to you. And when I say have something good to say, it doesn't mean that the thing must be a happy thing. Talk about the lessons that you learned from your failures, from your challenges, from your mistakes, the lessons that you learned from your successes. So, general lessons that you learned, not only from your successes, but especially those from your failures, from your mistakes, and from your challenges. When you say something good about how you use those lessons to scale through those challenges, people will want to listen. And they are listening because you are talking about your own experiences, and which makes it authentic and which makes people trust you more. And then the second thing that you can, the second communication skill that you can work on is learn to organize your thoughts before you share them. Because when you organize your thoughts, this gives your message the best chance of being received the way you want it to be received, because it is organized and it is clear. And the third way is repetition. Repetition, we are saying, is that when you are communicating, you send your message, paraphrase it, say it in another way, and repeat it until you are certain that the people or the person you are talking with has received the message the way you intend it to be. Oh, okay, you're welcome. It's okay. Thank you so much. I don't know how to share myself, so I don't I'm still learning too. And so we are talking about repetition, that it can be helpful for you to rephrase what you're saying so that people really get the message, so that you would really get the message. Okay, that's fine. So that people will get your message. You repeat it not in the same words for it to get boring, but you receive it, you sorry, repeat it in such a way that people will understand. And that is why we say you rephrase. You rephrase means you say what you're saying in different words, and that really gives the message the real meaning you want people to get from it. So rephrase what you're saying over and over until you know that the person has got it, but not saying the same things to make it boring, just rephrasing it, because, like you say, repetition is the mother, the father of learning. And what you're saying repeatedly will stick. The person will get it better. Or, like, if you're telling a child, it will stick because you've said it repeatedly in different ways, and at least they will understand in one way. And we are saying that another real skill that you can learn to communicate better, be clear and concise. When you are clear, you get to your point quickly and efficiently without being rude or short, and using the right tone and the right voice. Because, like we say, communication is not only what you're saying, but it's the tone that you're using, the voice that you're using, and the words that you're using. So it's not only the words, it's a combination of your words, your tone, your facial expressions, because all of that are communication, and they contribute to the way the person receives the message. Another thing, another skill, like the fifth skill that I shared today, learn to say it, speak it. Don't always assume that people would know or that they would they would understand. Or you just tell somebody, guess what? Those guess what? People don't people have so much going in their heads, and they will not even, like when you say guess what, you've already disoriented the person, because the person will start wondering now. The head is really like gone to different places, and what's she up to? What does she want to say? So when you say guess what, it doesn't help you to communicate effectively. That is why you have to say it in one plus one. If you have anything, like maybe you want to tell your partner, your spouse, your family members, or your colleagues, tell them in one plus one, and let them know your message clearly. Don't let them guess, or don't let them assume, because they might lead to wrong assumptions that will bring unnecessary problems. Meanwhile, if you had just said it, it would have been easy for everybody. So learn to speak it, and when they say learn to speak it, it's also like learn to know to ask, because sometimes we have problems, and we think people will understand and help us. No, because if you just see somebody, you don't know what is passing in their head, you don't know what they are going through. But when the person comes and speaks and asks you and tells you that, oh look, I have this challenge, I need help for this thing or the other, it gives you like, it facilitates everything for everybody, because you clearly communicate what you want, and then now they can know exactly the kind of help that you need. So speak it. Don't assume that people will know, or don't assume that people will guess. Guesswork is not good, because most of the time we are going to guess wrongly. We are not going to guess. We are not in your head. Even when you are a magician, it's only God who will know what is in passing in somebody's head. And so spare people the time. Tell them what you want. Spell it out clearly. It's better for you to tell them what you want clearly, and then they say, well, I can't do it, or I can't do it yet, or it's not possible, and you move on to another the next place to look for a solution, than to sit and waiting for somebody to guess, and then things are spoiling, things are getting, you're spoiling your things and all of that. So learn to speak your thoughts, learn to ask. It 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 always helps, because people get the exact message that you want to send across when you speak and when you ask. And then the one of the most important skills that we discussed today was listening. Listening and paying attention to both the verbal and non-verbal clues. When you listen carefully to somebody, you pay attention to the tone, the vocabulary, the expression on their faces, and you can read a lot of things. Sometimes you can, like some people, they say they are so transparent, because when they are talking, you can see it from their countenance. And that is why when somebody is talking to you and you are listening, you have to pay attention. You are not listening only to respond, you are listening to understand what they are saying. And when you listen to understand what they are saying, the person who is talking to you feels that you are giving value to them, to what they are saying, that you value them, and that you value their time, and that you value their opinion. So don't listen while multitasking or doing something. When somebody is talking to you, it is very rude for you to just be there on your phone or doing something else, and then the person finishes talking, and then you say, oh, what were you saying? That is not effective communication, because either you have blocked the person, they might not have the courage to say it again. They might feel that you don't give them value. They might feel that, meanwhile, it's really just that you you were not conscious of what you were doing. And that's why we say you have to be intentional. You have to be conscious of what you're doing. You have to listen and pay attention. So when you want to value your relationships, you have to give value. And when you give value, you will also receive value, because like they say, we receive what we give. So I thank you all for watching. Thank you for all of those who are going to watch the replay. It is always a pleasure to serve you. On Wednesday, we are going to talk about part two of how to improve your communication skills. But this one in particular, we are going to talk about how to improve communication in relationships, because it is very key to our relationships. It is really helpful to make relationships work, and it really helps us to communicate efficiently, and it helps us to become successful. I wish everyone a very, very beautiful week, a very productive week.